Hello and welcome to this Friday's episode of Sports Corner. I'm Cole Young and we're officially in the heart of the NHL and NBA playoffs, so I'll jump right in with that. Starting in the NHL, in the East, Alex Ovechkin has done it again. Ovechkin scored his second goal of the game at 2:26 in overtime, and the Washington Capitals recovered for a 3-2 win against the Montreal Canadiens in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference first round on Monday. Then, Logan Thompson made 25 saves, including 14 in the third period, and the Capitals extended their lead with a 3-1 win against the Canadiens in Game 2 on Wednesday. Game 3 of this series between the Capitals and Canadiens will be today at 4 p.m., and Game 4 will be on Sunday at 3:30 p.m. Throughout the entire first round of playoffs, there was a lot of scoring going around. In Game 1 between the Ottawa Senators and Toronto Maple Leafs, Mitch Marner had a goal and 2 assists, William Nylander and John Tavares each had a goal and an assist, and Anthony Stolarz made 31 saves for Toronto as they rolled to a 6-2 victory on Sunday. Game 2 was a whole lot closer, and Max Domi scored at 3:09 of overtime to break the tie and give the Leafs a 3-2 win against the Senators and a 2-0 lead in the series. Game 3 was last night, and Game 4 will be tomorrow at 4 p.m. Maybe, just maybe, the Leafs can be the first Canadian team to win the Stanley Cup in over 30 years. The Carolina Hurricanes also joined the scoring party when Logan Stankoven scored twice in the second period for the Canes in a 4-1 win against the New Jersey Devils in Game 1 on Sunday. Frederik Andersen made 25 saves in Game 2 as the Hurricanes extended their lead to 2-0 with a 3-1 win against the Devils. Game 3 of this series will be back in New Jersey tonight at 5, with Game 4 on Sunday at 12:30. The last matchup in the Eastern Conference, the battle for Florida between the Tampa Bay Lightning and reigning champion Florida Panthers, began on Tuesday. Florida started their journey to a repeat title with an easy Game 1 win. Matthew Tkachuk had 2 goals and an assist for the Panthers in a dominant 6-2 win over the Lightning in Game 1. Game 2 of this series was last night, and Game 3 will be tomorrow at 10 a.m. Over in the Western Conference, the Los Angeles Kings survived an almost catastrophic comeback from the Edmonton Oilers. Phillip Danault scored his second goal of the game with 42 seconds remaining in the third period, and the Kings recovered after blowing a 4-goal lead to win 6-5 against the Oilers in Game 1 at Crypto.com Arena on Monday. Danault's goal came just 46 seconds after Connor McDavid tied it 5-5. Game 2 was a lot less close though. Adrian Kempe had 2 goals and 2 assists, Anze Kopitar had a goal and 3 assists, and the Kings extended their lead with a whopping 6-2 win against the Oilers. Game 3 for our local Kings will be tonight at 7 p.m., and Game 4 will be on Sunday at 6:30 p.m. Over last weekend, the number 1 seed Winnipeg Jets quickly jumped out to a 2-0 lead over the St. Louis Blues, winning 5-3 in Game 1 and 2-1 in Game 2. Game 3 was last night, and Game 4 between the Jets and Blues will be on Sunday at 10 a.m. The Western Conference matchup of the Colorado Avalanche and Dallas Stars also got off to a hot start. Nathan MacKinnon had 2 goals and an assist for Colorado in a 5-1 victory in Game 1. Game 2 was much closer, as Colin Blackwell scored at 17:46 in overtime to give the Dallas Stars a 4-3 overtime win in Game 2. The Stars then jumped out to a 2-1 series lead after a 2-1 victory in Game 3, when Tyler Seguin scored 5 minutes into overtime to break the tie. Game 4 between the Stars and Avalanche will be tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. And lastly, the Vegas Golden Knights and Minnesota Wild were all tied up 1-1 heading into last night. Game 4 of this series will be tomorrow at 1 p.m. That was a ton of hockey, but I always say playoff hockey is arguably the best time of the year in sports, so don't miss out on any of the games this weekend, and next week we'll see who's still hanging around and who's been sent home. Moving over to the other playoffs, the Lakers had a pretty tough start to their postseason. Despite Luka Doncic scoring 37 points in his playoff debut with the Lakers, the Minnesota Timberwolves dominated all game long and defeated the Lakers 117-95 in Game 1. On Tuesday night, though, Luka bounced back with 31 points, 12 rebounds, and 9 assists, and the Lakers fought back to even their series with Minnesota after a 94-85 victory. The Lakers led by as many as 22 at one point, but held on throughout the Timberwolves' comeback effort. Game 3 will be in Minneapolis tonight at 6:30 p.m. Sticking with the Western Conference, to put it very simply, Oklahoma City is very good. The Thunder beat the Memphis Grizzlies 131-80 in Game 1 of their first-round Western Conference playoff series on Sunday, the 5th biggest margin of victory in NBA's postseason history. The 51-point margin was 7 points shy of the record and was the largest Game 1 win in NBA playoff history. Aaron Wiggins scored 21 points, Jalen Williams scored 20 points, and Chet Holmgren had 19 points and 10 rebounds. It was much of the same in Game 2, when Shai Gilgeous-Alexander scored 27 points, and the Thunder again dominated the Grizzlies 118-99 on Tuesday night to take a 2-0 lead in their first-round playoff series. Game 3 was last night, and Game 4 will be tomorrow at 3:30 p.m. Our other Southern California team, the LA Clippers, have somewhat surprised the sports world so far this postseason. They lost a heartbreaker in overtime to the powerhouse Denver Nuggets 112-110 in Game 1. They did get back on track in Game 2, though, after Kawhi Leonard scored 39 points and the Clippers evened the first-round playoff series against the Nuggets with a 105-102 win in Denver on Monday. Game 4 of this series will be tomorrow at 6 p.m. The final matchup in the West, the Golden State Warriors and Houston Rockets, has been pretty much what you would expect to this point. Steph Curry scored 31 points and the Warriors built a huge lead and held on to beat the Rockets 95-85 in Game 1. Curry was 12 of 19 from the field, hitting 5 of 9 three-pointers, including a couple of circus shots that caused the bench and crowd to go wild in typical Steph Curry fashion. The Rockets got their revenge over a shorthanded Warriors team in Game 2, though. Six-time All-Star Jimmy Butler exited the game in the first quarter after a hard fall, and the Rockets capitalized, winning Game 2 109-94. Jalen Green had a historic night for Houston, tying a Rockets playoff record with 38 points on 13 of 25 shooting. Game 3 of this series will be tomorrow at 8 p.m. Over in the Eastern Conference, the top-seeded Cavaliers opened their series against the Miami Heat with a 121-100 win. Donovan Mitchell scored 30 points and tied a playoff career high with 4 steals. Mitchell then scored 17 of his 30 points in the fourth quarter to hold off a vigorous Heat comeback attempt as the Cavs took a 121-112 Game 2 victory. They'll carry a 2-0 series lead to Miami heading into Saturday's Game 3, which is tomorrow at 10 a.m. The reigning champion Boston Celtics opened their series against the Orlando Magic with a dominant win of their own. Derek White scored 30 points, Jason Tatum had 17 points, and the Celtics beat the Magic 103-86 in Game 1. The Indiana Pacers quickly jumped out to a 2-0 lead over the Milwaukee Bucks after winning 117-98 in Game 1 and 123-115 in Game 2. For Indiana, Pascal Siakam is leading the way, averaging 24.5 points, 9 rebounds, and 2.5 assists per game so far in this series. Giannis Antetokounmpo, despite the Bucks being down 2-0, is still averaging a whopping 35 points per game so far, after scoring 36 and 34 in Games 1 and 2 respectively. Game 3 of this series is tonight at 5. Lastly, the Detroit Pistons have won a playoff game. The New York Knicks beat the Pistons in Game 1, 123-112, but then Cade Cunningham had 33 points and 12 rebounds. Dennis Schroeder made the tie-breaking three-pointer with 55 seconds left, and the Pistons snapped their NBA record 15-game postseason losing streak by beating the Knicks 100-94 in Game 2 of their playoff series. The Pistons, who hadn't even been to the postseason since 2019, recovered after the Knicks erased a 15-point deficit to earn their first playoff victory since Game 4 of the 2008 Eastern Conference Finals against Boston. Game 4 of this series will be on Sunday at 10 a.m. Lastly, I mentioned last week that the NFL Draft is officially here. Round 1 was yesterday, and here's a look at how it all shaped up. Nothing too surprising, but University of Miami quarterback Cam Ward was drafted 1 overall to the Tennessee Titans. The surprise came when the Jacksonville Jaguars traded up from the 5th spot to the 2nd spot with the Cleveland Browns to get two-way star and Heisman winner Travis Hunter out of Colorado. Boise State's record-breaking running back Ashton Jeanty was picked up by the Raiders. Other than that, things went pretty standard. That's until the 25th pick, when the New York Giants traded up for their second first-round pick after they took edge rusher Abdul Carter 3rd overall. With that pick, they selected quarterback Jackson Dart out of Ole Miss, meaning Colorado quarterback Shedeur Sanders officially fell out of the first round. Rounds 2 and 3 will begin today at 3 p.m., with rounds 4 through 7 on Sunday starting at 9 a.m. The NFL Draft is always fun to watch because there's always fun anecdotes and stories about unknown players and underdogs. Plus, it's fun to follow who your favorite team selects throughout the weekend. With all of that said, enjoy all the basketball, hockey, NFL Draft, and more throughout this weekend. As always, thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Sports Corner. I'm Cole Young. Have a great weekend. I'll see you next time.